Tom, how you
Hey
doing,
Mike,
buddy?
what's up?
Not too much. I'm here to talk about Office Space, and I just want to point out that the guy behind me is not me. Even though there's probably a vast resemblance. So that's the laugh of
You can say that's you when you worked an office job.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, believe me, I've had plenty of shitty bosses at different jobs, and some of the managers remind me of. But before I start into this, you go ahead and give the intro.
I'll give the synopsis. Yeah, it's Labor Day weekend. People have picnics to get to, so let's get the
Sure.
show on them. Okay, so today we're talking about the 1999 Mike Judge movie, Office Space. It tells the story of a beleaguered worker. What's his name? Peter Gibbons,
Yeah, yep.
who works a grinding job at a cubicle filled faceless corporate company,
Yeah.
where he has
Heartless.
to he's got to work long hours. He doesn't make enough money, and he's got no hope for a promotion. Actually, layoffs are right around the corner.
Yeah, yeah.
He's so stressed out that his girlfriend convinces him to go to a hypnotherapist. The hypnotherapist gets him under, says you're going to be calm, you're going to be relaxed, your all cares about your job are going to fade away. And then when I snap my fingers, you're going to wake up. And he dies before he gets to snap his
Which I
fingers.
thought was great. That was the
It
funniest.
was a great vehicle for what that change would
Oh yeah,
be.
yeah.
So now this guy, this main character, goes the rest of his movie just kind of relaxed and happy and not really caring anything about his job.
No, no. No, and that actually that's the hysterical part of this movie because he actually suddenly he's actually like whatever he does, they don't know how to this guy in particular has no idea how to handle. He's the evil boss behind me. Has no idea how to handle this guy, and if anything, starts to get his way, and things start to go really well for him because he's getting promoted, and good things come his way just because he does have that attitude. So, but I'll tell you what, there is something to this because the older I get, in my workplace, I kind of have a little bit of that attitude myself. I'm at the point now where people come to me like and go, "Oh, we're gonna have to do this or that," and it's like, okay, well, whatever. I'm not. You're not gonna upset me or worry me about it. I'm not
Yeah, it's not like
concerned.
you've got long-term plans.
No, no. So it's like it's not my problem. It's yours. You're the one that brought the issue to me. so so you
So
worry about
so
it.
here is the meeting behind
Yes.
me. The company is downsizing, and so these guys are meeting with all the employees to recommend who gets laid off. And so, one of the most hilarious scenes is where the newly relaxed Peter Gibbons is in a meeting with them, and they're like, "Well, why don't you walk us through your day?" And he's like, "Well, I kind of come in like a little late, and then I just zone out. I just stare into space." And they're so amazed
Yeah.
at him that they're like, "I think we should promote this guy."
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 It's actually his new attitude that has him all of a sudden catching the right attention instead of you'd think, oh wow, this guy's gonna get fired for saying this stuff. But no, they're completely intrigued by what he's saying.
But
But
despite his promotion, his friends do get laid off,
yeah,
and he hatches a plan to sort of get revenge.
yeah.
And it's an ingenious plan. It's a plan that's actually been carried out.
Yeah. Well, you mean it's actually been carried out in real life?
Yeah, yeah. In 2022, so just a few years ago,
Yeah.
software engineer Ermin Erminillo
Yeah.
Valdez Castro was inspired by the movie Office Space, conducting a similar scheme by editing code to divert shipping fees to a personal account
Wow.
A report
Wow.
from the Seattle police mentions that a folder named Office Space Project was found on Castro's work laptop, and Castro admitted he was indeed inspired by the movie.
Yeah,
Castro
yeah.
stole over $300,000 from that company.
Wow. Well, you know something though, why is it that, like when we think of like somebody stealing or theft like that, you when it's to an individual, like say it's, it's somebody like to me the worst place in hell that you could possibly be sent to would be if you're scamming somebody like an old lady that doesn't have much money, and you're one of these people that's calling up and doing, some kind of scam thing on the person emptying their bank account. That to me is reprehensible. But why is it we take such glee when it happens to
Look,
a
well, the thing
corporation?
is like we keep hearing these reports of CEOs
Yeah.
that don't do much of anything
Yep.
and make 100 times more money in their salary than the average worker at that same
Oh
company.
yeah. Oh,
And
I
when
believe. Yeah. No, believe me, I hear that all the time with different companies, including the place I work at. But I mean, different companies will, they're talking about what the CEOs are making and what their bonuses are, and you're thinking your bonus is way bigger than what I make, just me as an individual, a year, and yet you bitch about the bonuses we get. It's like,
Mike, I've never held a job where I got a bonus. I
really.
got paid what I got paid. When I hear people getting these bonuses, like
Yeah.
even if it's $500,
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you do that?
Well, it depends. A bonus is a bonus, but I mean, there's bonuses and then there's bonuses. You watch a movie like Christmas Vacation, and he's talking about getting a bonus that's going to put in a swimming pool. Well, you're talking putting in a swimming pool. What are you paying for an in-ground pool? I mean, it's
I
got
think
to
it was
be.
around between 10 and 20 grand for that year.
Yeah, and it's, that's with inflation and time, and that's probably more like 20-30,000 for
Oh,
a
if with
nice.
inflation time, that's probably more like 50 to 100.
Could be. So yeah, like I said, I don't come close to a bonus like that. It's for us, it's like a paycheck. Yeah,
And
that's
then you,
about
you
what
hear about these CEOs that ran the company into the ground are
yeah,
fired by the board of directors. You're useless,
yeah,
get out. And they walk away with like,
yeah,
$100,000
yeah, there's
bonus.
severance. Yeah.
Yeah. And so obviously there is going to be some anger at corporate, at
Yeah.
corporations. And this movie tapped into it masterfully.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing is like, I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for,
Right.
but it's when you see those kind of practices that, that just exploit people, that's when the anger starts to come. And it's like, really you have to be that kind of a jerk about money and laying people off, and, you know, will justifying your own, upper three figures salary. It's, plus
I mean,
bonus.
I mean that's why people, when they describe something as a soulless corporation,
Yeah,
that's a perfect word for that because it's
yeah.
very clear that they do not value their workers that much.
No, no. And that is a real problem. I mean, again, I mean, I know I see it, and it's something that, companies, even when they're losing somebody puts in a notice, um, they're content to shake their hand and say, okay, well, good luck, rather than like, why are you leaving? What can we do to get you to stay? And, when it's a valuable worker, and you lose people that are, quality help, and then they wonder why, when they're trying to get people to apply, they're not applying. So behind me are the masses, right, right there. Those are the angry masses at the corporation. But
Yeah, yeah. See, and that's a good comment because we got to bring it back to the movie.
yes, yeah,
But
yeah,
and the last thing I'm going to say about that though is that when I first said, oh man, I got to choose Office Space, I knew that Labor Day weekend was the perfect day to do it, or the
Oh,
perfect time to
absolutely.
do
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Because it's kind of like when you're talking about working and your day-to-day working, there's a few different movies that have been made, 9 to 5, which I don't think is a great movie. It's got some humor in it, but I don't think it's a great movie. But you have to think of different ones that represent like the day-to-day working stiffs, and this was one that definitely did. uh, and there's an angry gentleman behind you. He's actually the one that thought of the plan, right? It was his. Wasn't it him that
Maybe.
came? I think he came up with, and he never like actually was thinking of doing it in practice. It was just like, you could probably do this, and he talked about it with the other guys, and then of course the gentleman that's right behind me, not the one to my left or right, depending on how you're looking at it. But he's the one that actually says, "Hey, that idea you had, we could actually do that, right?" And so it sets everything in motion. But it's definitely it's a hilarious movie. There's certain things. Um, this this gentleman right here that's
Milton.
yes. First of all, a terrible boss to the foreground, and in the background, the poor stiff that just wants to keep. All he wants to do is keep his little stapler. he's
And not
uh,
have to move his desk again.
yeah, and they keep moving his desk. He ends up in the basement. That's hilarious in itself. And now, was it him or was it somebody else? There was somebody else that was drawing a paycheck, and they had been
No,
fired.
this guy, yeah, maybe it was this guy. I thought he wasn't drawing a paycheck. I thought he
Oh,
got
that's
laid
right.
off.
That's right. He
They
kept saying,
stopped paying him,
yeah, that's right.
and
And
he
and
just kept coming to work.
right. And there was somebody else that actually had been fired and was still getting a paycheck. So the company was really inept. But though you hear about stuff like that, I actually saw online that there were a couple of like actually cases that made the news where someone actually had been either fired or they quit or whatever, and they were still getting a paycheck, and they had just collected it for years afterwards. So it actually has happened.
And we gotta talk about this guy for a while. Milton is one of the stars of the show.
Right.
Sorry, I mistakenly muted myself.
Yeah, I noticed you went out for a second, but you came right back. So,
Yeah,
but
my stylus that I normally use with my Surface
right.
is dead,
Okay.
and so now I'm having to use my fat fingers.
Yeah. I keep laughing too because I keep seeing this guy behind me, and I think he looks like me. But
So this guy Milton, played by the fantastic Stephen Root or
yeah,
Stephen Root, I don't know how he pronounces his name,
yeah,
but uh, this guy is amazing. But the character Milton is the origin of this entire movie.
right,
So back when Mike Judge was doing like short animation for MTV, I think even before Beavis and Butthead, he did a 2-minute animated short called Milton, which is just this whiny low-level worker complaining about having his desk moved. And if they make him move his desk one more time, he's going to set the building on fire.
oh yeah,
And this was actually a real life workmate of Mike Judge
really,
that kept
really,
complaining that if they moved his desk one more time, he was going to set the company on fire.
wow. Uh,
The
which
second star is that red stapler.
yeah, the swing line or whatever you call
The,
it.
the,
Yeah,
the swing line, they spray painted it red for
oh
this
really,
movie just so it was like ultra noticeable. You would know
yeah,
what you were talking about in a huge drab gray office. after this movie started getting popular, people started giving request after request for Swingline to make a red stapler.
Wow.
So
Wow.
now they do. And this actor that played Milton, Stephen Root, says every time he goes to a new set, they
Yeah.
almost always have these red staplers around.
That's great. That is great. Yeah. No, it is funny too, because, you know, I work at a place where I use a stapler, and you do, it is a little weird because you do kind of get a little attached to the stapler that you use every day. I've had, because I think there's probably like three staplers in the building I work in, and it's whoever, when I'm sitting at my desk at work, which is not really just a desk job, but at all, but it's but when I'm at my desk, uh, I have a stapler that I prefer. That's like I always have up top on the desk. And sometimes when somebody else is working on a off shift of mine, uh, they switch it out, and I come into work and I'm like, where's my stapler? And I'm looking through the drawers, and I finally find it, and it's like, really, you had to move my stapler? So I don't know what it is about the stapler, but for some reason
We
it
should
can
maybe
be
get
something.
started on the
Yeah.
stapler versus paperclip.
Oh yeah. 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 Well, I'm not, the paper clips always fly off and stuff, so I'm more of a fan of the staple. But and behind me there's the lovely Jennifer Aniston, and she is in this movie also.
She's in
Um,
there for one reason and one reason only.
well, I can think of a couple, but
Fox demanded they have a recognizable name on cast.
yeah, yeah,
And even
okay,
though like the entire cast are great actors,
yeah,
they're all relatively unknown.
yeah, they are. I mean, I got to know the gentleman behind you through this movie, and also the guy who plays the horrible boss. I got to know him through this movie, and that's the biggest reason why I know those two characters. And now when they pop up in a movie, I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, this guy. Um,
Yep.
but
Gary Cole.
yeah, and he's great. His
Oh,
his
phenomenal.
his deadpan delivery is just sends me when yeah, could you do that? Okay. It's one of those and man, I've heard that voice before
Oh
in real
yeah.
life. I think
It's
we all have,
classic.
and that's why it's funny. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I said like you said, we all have. It's a
Yeah,
classic. He's worse than a horrible boss. He's
yeah.
middle management.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And believe me, we all know that. And all the middle managers out there, I know you. That's
So
great. That's great.
here's how good he was. He is
Yeah.
literally an enduring meme.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So,
All the time you see those pop up. I,
so
I actually I love sending them.
I know. So these guys are not a sponsor, but let me give a shout out to this website, Image Flip or IMG Flip, where
Okay.
you can take these screenshots and you can type anything you want in.
Oh, nice. Actually, that's you should post a link to that one. That's
Okay,
actually, because that would
I
be a,
will. I will because man, I got to playing around with this website
yeah.
so much.
Well, that actually would be a fun thing for that would be a fun thing for people to have a link to. So yeah,
Okay,
sure.
I will link to it. I'm also going to give a link to that animated short, Milton.
Okay, yeah, 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 definitely. Excellent. Um, and yeah, again, like with now these two guys, I've seen both of these guys in movies since then, particularly the guy with suspenders, which I don't
That
know.
is John C. McGinley,
Okay, yeah,
and
because I was
he's
gonna
been in
say
so many things.
I apologize not knowing either one of their names, but yeah, I've definitely recognized him, and when I see him in films now, I'm like, oh, that's that's the guy from Office Space. But they're great too, because they are, even though they've got this job, they're axemen coming in to actually like take away people's careers, and eliminate their jobs. They actually really start to take some delight in this one worker, and they to the point where they recommend him for a promotion, which he gets. And they keep his boss, the horrible boss, they keep him off of the guy too. It's like, no, no, he doesn't have to answer to you anymore. so, so yeah, it's all good. It's all very satisfying.
So now the ending, here's what confused me.
Okay.
Okay. So these guys embezzle this money. It's far more money than what they imagined it would be,
Right.
using this little program.
Yeah.
And it's so much money, they are convinced that the company is going to discover the embezzlement, know who did it,
Right.
and that they're all going to prison, which A, seems ridiculous. I don't think they know how much money these corporations go through.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking $300,000 is a drop in the bucket to this company.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And secondly, this guy who has been so carefree throughout the entire film
Yeah.
suddenly is worried about getting arrested.
Right. Right. Yeah.
He's more
Well,
worried about his friends getting arrested. And so he says he'll take the fall, wrote a note taking all the blame, confessing to the whole thing,
yeah.
writing $300,000 worth of traveler's checks and shoving it all under that horrible boss's door to
Right.
his office.
Right.
And it never goes through because Milton is true to his threat and burns the company down.
Right. Oh
So
yeah.
all evidence of crime or wrongdoing is erased.
Yeah. 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 So what's your confusion though, as far as?
Well, why this guy who was like, it's not that he just didn't care about his job. He didn't care about losing his girlfriend. He was incredibly carefree about everything. Why start worrying about going to prison?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, because I actually I noticed a couple of things with his character, and that is like when he first gets hypnotized, he goes into work and he's got a very, very laid back, I don't give a shit attitude, which is actually what gets him the attention and gets him the promotion. But it almost is like it starts waning over time,
Yeah.
because once he gets onto the thing with his friends and like, let's screw these guys, they've been screwing us, and once they start doing that, then it's like his attitude changes to a degree. So I took it as it was over time that the effects of the hypnosis were wearing off, because I mean, not that it did completely, because just like if you go in for, and I'm not a huge, I don't even think I can be hypnotized. I went to a hypnotist one time for weight loss, and I didn't go under. I don't know. Some people I don't think just go under or have the I don't feel like I can be hypnotized. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, I think with something like hypnosis, for whether it's weight loss or smoking, I think probably it does wane a little bit over time. Maybe you need a recharge once in a while. But it seemed to have held a little bit, because at the end of the movie, what was he doing? Trash collecting or something?
Yeah,
It was
construction.
okay. That's right. It was construction, but he had a pretty low level job, and he was really happy doing what he was doing. Not that he wouldn't be making money at that, because construction usually, if it usually pays pretty well. So he was happy. It didn't have any kind of stress, and he was just doing his thing. And it's there. In fact, his friends came and said, "Hey, we can, you can work with us." And that guy was hysterical.
Oh my
Now
God, I love this guy.
yeah, he's been in a lot of movies, and he's a recognizable. And again, I don't know this guy's name either. Do you have it?
This is Diedrich Bader.
Right.
I wouldn't have known it before this movie, but when I do these videos with you, I make
Yeah,
a note of who the cast members are
yeah,
because I love the movies, I love the characters, but I've also got a deep respect for the people that can bring these things to life.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Character actors in particular, when I see and know of a particularly good character actor, I actually feel like they deserve more credit than what they get a lot of times, because without those characters filling in a movie and making that movie the a little bit deeper, a little bit more funny, a little bit more clever, whatever. And he is a character actor. He's like I said, I don't even know the guy's name, but I just
But
know.
Mike Judge, in an interview, he was talking about choosing the cast,
Yeah,
and two people in particular. He only knew who one person was going to be. He only had
yeah,
one person in mind. So for the others, a bunch of people were doing table readings,
huh,
and both uh, Stephen Root, who did Milton,
right.
when he read for that part, Mike Judge said he made what I wrote 100 times funnier.
Wow, wow.
And then the horrible boss,
Yeah,
Bill Lumberg,
yeah,
that was another guy where Mike Judge said he only had the vaguest idea of what this guy would be like. And
right.
when this guy read for that character, he was like, okay, this is the person. This is
Yeah,
who
yeah.
that.
Well, and looking at the guy behind you, you have to really respect the full-on mullet that
Do
he
you
is
know who
sporting.
do you know who the guy behind you is?
No, the actor's name. No, I don't.
Not an actor. That's Mike Judge.
Oh, okay.
He
Wow.
wrote
Okay.
the movie.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you said it makes sense, because I've seen plenty of pictures of Mike, but that's actually pretty cool. Now that was another reprehensible boss, and I just have to say this too. Like whenever you see workers at places like whether it's Applebee's or Olive Garden or whatever the places are, and somebody it's somebody's birthday and a family member says, "Oh, this person's birthday." When they start doing that thing, "We're so glad you came here," and they're singing their little ditty and clapping their hands. I always feel really bad for the people who are having to do that,
I actually
because
feel really bad for every single person
oh
involved.
yeah, well, I love playing the joke on people. I've done it to a lot of people where I told somebody it was, oh, it's their, so and so's birthday, and I get a real kick out of it. But at the same time, when it comes to the singing part, if that's what they have to do, then I definitely feel bad if it's one of those places that make the person, the entire staff, it seems, go out there singing and clapping, and because to me it's like, just bring a piece of cake and say, oh, happy birthday, it's but that's enough. They really shouldn't have to do that. I feel bad for them.
If that ever happens to me, I'm going to yell at them to stop, tell them my religion forbids me to celebrate birthdays, and you are violating my constitutional rights.
Well,
I
I'll tell you
guarantee
what.
you they will stop.
I'll I'll tell you what. I'm gonna have to play that just to see, just to see the reactions all around. So sometime, God forbid, you're hanging out with me on your birthday. but
Well,
yeah. So
hopefully it
like I
won't
said,
be in a place that sings to you.
yeah. uh, well, like I said, he did play a good horrible boss, because this whole thing with uh, when she gives him the finger
Oh
to
yeah.
I got a lot of satisfaction out of that. So uh, he was not at all comfortable with what to do when she basically just tells him, "Yeah, go fuck yourself." But yeah, he did a good job. I actually really did not recognize him in that role, so that's a fun piece of trivia right there. But so this movie here um, was your pick. We have to give you credit for this one. This was your Labor Day pick,
Mhm.
and again, I do thank you because it had been a while since I had seen this movie. I don't think I've seen this movie in 10 years. So that, it
Yeah,
was,
I gotta say, it's not like, it's not one of the greats. I don't
no, it's
expect
not.
it to win any Academy Awards. It's not outrageous. It's funny, but it's not outrageously funny.
Yeah.
But what I love about it is that it struck such a nerve. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it resonated with so many workers that one of the things these cast members talk about is if they go out, they constantly hear people repeating their lines.
Oh yeah. 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 No,
There was
it's
what
a movie. It's a movie I would go so far as to say it's a beloved movie,
yeah.
it's and all the things like this little meme behind me. It's how many times do you have somebody put pressure on you to, or it's I've had that many times where it's like, yeah, yeah, I need you to work, it's, which I usually will say yes if it's extra money, if they're going to pay me overtime. If it's not overtime, then I'm like, yeah, I'd love to do that for you, but I'm busy. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean,
which,
it's funny because it's true.
yeah.
And it's not even true. It's something that so many people have lived through that
Oh yeah.
they can totally relate. This movie is the epitome of a cult classic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No,
Even beyond that, this is a meme. We're reviewing a meme right now. The
yeah,
entire
it resonates with, it really resonates with the working class out there. That if you've ever, I don't, whether you had an office job, which I've never really had an office job kind of thing. I don't, I mean, I
I've
work
had
at an,
so few. I'm very grateful.
yeah, yeah. But it's funny because I've thought to myself before, it probably be easy to go and just work in and it's like, no, it's not. It's, when you see what office workers go through, most of the time it's can be boring, repetitious, and then you're dealing with the day-to-day bullshit. And
Yeah,
so,
if I remember anything from my blessedly short time in a
yeah,
corporate field,
yeah,
it's the mountains of of repetitive non-work
yeah,
that is required. Like to actually get your job done would take you maybe 5 hours out of the week, and everything else is like,
yeah,
oh, you have to go do this corporate training,
yeah,
or
oh
you have
yeah,
to fill out these ISO 9000 forms.
yeah,
You have to fill out the TPS. Are
yeah,
those
oh yeah,
TPS forms on my desk?
yeah, oh yeah. No, believe me, I definitely, that's something. I mean, the amount of like online training that I have to do at my job, the amount of well, we don't always have it, but there's a lot of times there's annual training where we have to go to, and those are the ones that are probably most like what the corporate world deals with, because you go to these, they usually send you somewhere to some, to some like banquet hall or something like that, where you're sitting at this big room with a bunch of people all crowded around, tables, and they're doing these rah rah rah, go our company, and they want you to be all enthusiastic and involved, and it's like, do you realize these people just want to get the hell out of here? They're just trying to finish the whatever the stupid training is that you've thought
Yeah,
up.
and that's the thing. Like, I can't think of a job interview I've had where the question isn't, so why do you want to work here?
Oh yeah, my
And
God, I
if you
hate
do
that.
not understand that the answer is a paycheck,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know what to tell you. You're expecting me to lie, and I
yeah.
will, but
Well,
it's a paycheck. I need money.
yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, I actually said that I interviewed for a TSA job a number of years ago, and when I interviewed for that, I hate the form of interview where they say stuff like, "So, what in your last job did you do that made a difference for your company. And I mean, they're really asking people, they're not asking for my credentials, like, what would make you a good worker here? What would, what in your last job makes you a good fit here? They're not asking for like what your abilities and qualifications are. They're asking for these stupid, they want you to come up with these stories. And it's like, what do you want me to entertain you?
Well,
Because
they also want to see how above and beyond you'll go for their
yeah,
company, for
yeah,
their position. And I'm like, really?
yeah,
Like,
but
unless you're investing in me,
but
why should
there's
I invest in you?
yeah, well, there's truth and there's lies. And so if you're looking, and I actually said that in the TSA interview, which is probably why they didn't call me back until about 6 months later, after I had already said, yeah, I'm not, I was not going to be taking the job. They called me back 6 months later and said, yeah, we have a position for you. But at the time, like I thought to myself, well, I'm going to blow this one, because I said to the TSA people, I said, if you want me to lie, because basically I could see I wasn't coming up with good enough stories for them. And I said, I hate these type of interviews. I said, ask me why I fit. Ask me what my qualifications are. And they were like, well, you have a great application here. And they were, and it's like, well, then why are you asking me to lie and say all these, stupid stories? So yeah, like Jennifer Aniston behind me, you just want to give them the big finger. So
Mhm.
that is why this movie is so satisfying, because yes, it resonates with people who have to go and do that day in day out job. And this, by the way, is, as you know, this is the scene where he comes in real relaxed. I mean, look at the way he's dressed. He's just wearing a
Mhm.
t-shirt and black jeans and a jacket. He's all chill, and they're expecting him to be sitting there twiddling his thumbs and nervous. And he's like, yeah, that's when he. Oh my God, that's a great scene when they.
This is such a cathartic scene.
Yeah, 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 because they're beating up a printer, I believe,
Yep,
and
yep.
it's one of those printers that never wants to work, printer copy or whatever it was, and they just beat the hell out. They're
This is
stomping on him.
another scene that was taken from real life.
Is that right?
Evidently, after Mike Judge finished work on Beavis and Butthead Do America,
Yeah.
one of the assistant writers was so frustrated with all the work involved. I can't remember if he took his printer out to a field and trashed it, or if he took a copy of the script out to a field and burned it. I don't remember which
That's
it was, but
yeah.
that's what this scene is based on.
Wow, that's great. That that's great trivia. Well, another thing too, looking at the set, like this guy sitting at. I mean, I don't know where they filmed this, or whether they just
They
outfitted
filmed this
this.
in Dallas and Austin, Texas.
Okay, yep, that makes sense.
and and deciding what would make the drabbest gray cubicle was actually an active point of discussion when planning this set.
Wow, yeah. Well, the sets looked like well lived in offices,
They
and
were
that
perfect.
yeah, that's one of the things that made it. And even look behind him at the dead plant in there. And I mean, I've seen that just going through, like when you have to go and do something at a corporate office place. Um, I've seen so many dead plants. And
Well,
those,
I mean, dead plants. Look at the yellowing newspaper
yeah,
on the wall,
yeah,
the haphazard thumbtacks
yeah.
holding up paper behind them.
Oh yeah,
They
old calendars, the whole bit.
if
So
you
so
go
yeah,
through if you go through this movie and pay no attention to the movie, just pay attention to the background, you'll see so many things.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, like I said, it really worked on a lot of levels. And again, it's it's so damn satisfying. It's a that's the that's the big word that I can say, because no matter what your job is, if you're not, if you're not Elon Musk or somebody that's at the top of the level, then you're somebody that can appreciate what, this movie's about.
Yeah,
And the
I
fact,
think the majority of America
yeah,
has worked and may still be working a
oh
crap
yeah,
job.
yeah. Well, even like with me, I haven't worked in an office place per se, but I've worked in factories, and I worked in two different factories. One in particular that was an awful, really, it was, we made cassettes and, well, laser discs too, because I also worked in the molding area and for making laser discs, which was, cutting edge at the time. But we were making cassettes. We were making Memorex cassettes, and when I started there, I was what they called a hub loader, and we were just loading the hubs, and it was awful. Just the way that you had to take your breaks and things like that. And seeing a movie like this, I totally relate to what these people are going through.
Mhm,
It's just,
mhm.
it's,
Yeah, this touches a nerve.
yeah, yeah. So I get it why the movie became so popular. It's just one of those, things that anybody in the working world is going to look at and go, "Oh my God, this is like my job." But
And let me just say, like, we've talked about the cast, we've talked about the movie. I got to talk about how impressed with Mike Judge I am.
yeah,
I can remember when I first saw Beavis and Butthead,
oh
I
yeah,
thought to myself, this is stupid. This is
oh my
incredibly
God,
stupid, and it's a waste of time. And my mind hasn't changed on that.
man,
But then,
I still love, if I am sitting somewhere and Beavis and Butthead come on, I still get a lot of satisfaction out of that show. It's there's so many funny things that still, like, it doesn't matter. It's timeless, even though
it
it's,
is, but it's the humor is so one dimensional. Like I get it. Whereas when he came out with
yeah,
King of the Hill
yeah.
is cheap.
Oh, it absolutely is. But I still, my brain is simple enough
Yep.
that the humor I get out of Beavis and Butthead. I mean, the episode where they all go out on this feel good camping trip, and that one teacher there, the hippie teacher, he's singing a song like peace, love, everybody thought, and that bear comes out and starts attacking them from behind, and they're just sitting there going, I mean, like I said, my humor is stupid enough that I just laugh my butt off at stuff like that.
But
So,
then Judge wrote Idiocracy,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
another cult classic and
yeah.
definitely, you know, precedent
Oh yeah, yeah.
or prescient. I forget what the proper word is, but it definitely foretold the future.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, believe me, those guys they have done some really crazy shit, and I love their work. I
I
really do.
didn't realize he did Silicon Valley as well.
Oh, I didn't know that, huh?
Yeah, I just found that out while
Wow.
researching
Okay.
the movie.
Yeah. Wow. So props for that too.
You know
But
what his undergrad degree is in?
no.
Physics.
Wow. Really? Wow. I wouldn't have guessed it, but yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, you're right. Like King of the Hill, I keep meaning to, because I was watching it and then I kind of lost touch with it, and that's one that I always meant to, like, I need to go back and marathon that. But
You know, Hank Hill and his like, he perfectly embodies, you know, average dad America. He's providing for his family. He thinks he's doing right.
yeah,
And along comes his son, Bobby, that is definitely not right.
oh yeah,
Or at least, he dances to a different drummer.
yeah, yep. That's
Nothing wrong with it. And Hank loves him all the same. And he
oh,
tries to deal with it. And that social confusion, it comes off as really funny in that show.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's no, the blend of characters is great, but and it doesn't hurt that they all have those accents too. The
So Mike Judge not only writes King of the Hill, he does the voice for both Hank Hill
oh wow,
and
really?
Boomhauer.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which,
Well,
if you're out there, if you're watching, you're not familiar with King of the Hill, and you don't know who this Boomhauer is that I'm talking about, he's got a speech pattern that is near unintelligible,
yeah, yeah,
and I can't even imagine being able to talk that way.
yeah. It's just it's a mumbling, rambling kind of a.
And yet they're actual words. They actually make sense. I can remember hearing Mike Judge talk about the evolution of how he developed that voice,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's not simple.
No, like I said, I give props to him. He's and again, I didn't know he was this guy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It
so
turns
yeah,
out when they were casting, they didn't find anyone satisfactory to play Aniston's boss.
yeah,
And so he
yeah.
said, "Oh, the heck with it," and
I'll
took the
do it.
job
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Well, a good director always steps up and puts himself in this. So yeah,
I don't know when this photo was taken, but it's
yeah,
definitely more recent than the movie.
you're right. Well,
This guy,
he he looks like an office worker right there. I mean, a disgruntled office worker, but
the actor is Ron Livingston,
okay, yeah.
and he's been in adaptation with Nicolas Cage, I believe.
Oh yeah,
The Time Traveler's Wife. He was in Dinner for Schmucks
okay.
with
I don't I don't know Dinner for Schmucks, but
he
uh,
uh he was one of the stars in that was the guy from The Office, the
right,
boss from The Office,
okay,
whose name escapes me right now. But
yeah,
anyway, he's not a star, but he's been in some decent movies.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Believe me, I recognize he's somebody I recognize the face, but not the name, and um, it's one of those kind of faces that you see it, and you think to yourself, oh yeah, I know that guy from different movies, but it's like asked me to name the movies, and right now I couldn't just pull up movies that he was in. So, but no, uh,
And the guy behind you, previously, not these two, but the
yeah.
previous guy is David Herman playing Michael Bolton.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Evidently, I don't know if it's Funny or Die, I think it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
That's like Funny or Die. They did a little skit where they did a video that was basically Office Space, but every scene that guy playing Michael Bolton was in is replaced with Michael Bolton.
wow, wow, that's great.
And so he kind of makes fun of himself, with the exception of the line that Michael Bolton in the movie delivers is that no talent ass clown. And by the way, that is noted as being the first instance of the word ass clown
Right, right.
that
Which is,
made
I
it
was gonna,
into Webster's dictionary as an official word in
wow,
2018.
yeah. Well, it's so prevalent in the English language now. I mean, people use that term all the time. So, so, so yeah, it's just infiltrated
It's
the
one more
slang.
meme that has come out of this.
Yeah, yep. No, again, look at what Office Space has done for its influence on. I mean, we see probably don't recognize it all the time, but we see little hints of what this movie had to offer every day with different memes and different different
Well,
things that pop up on the internet.
one of the people on staff, I don't know if it was an assistant writer or assistant director, he and a coworker went into an Applebee's to have Applebee's or TGI Fridays,
Yeah,
and they noticed no like less flair. less
Yeah,
decoration on the thing. And so they asked the guy about it, like, what's up with this? You know, there's no more flair. And he's
right.
like, well, after that movie Office Space, like people started making fun of it so much,
Oh
we
yeah,
stopped doing it.
yeah.
And
Well,
so the assistant director said, well, I guess we made the world a better place.
absolutely. Believe me, like again, if you frequent places like that, which every once in a while I'll go into
I've
an
been to my
Applebee's
share.
or a 99 or whatever, name the franchise. And hey, once in a while you get a really good meal there. I mean, I've had some good food at those places. Hey, when you came in your last visit to this
Right.
area, me, you, and Mike went there for beers. We were we were drinking, and I was really enjoying myself. I wasn't hungry, but they came by one time and said, "Hey, do you guys want an appetizer? The chicken fingers are good." They're naming off all these specials, and I'm thinking to myself, "Ah, that kind of sounds," but I was just not in an eating mood. But no, you definitely can go there and sit around, have drinks, and have a few appetizers or a meal and enjoy
Oh yeah,
yourself. So
it's not fine dining, but it definitely works for a casual meal.
sure, sure. So yeah, uh, but we don't need the flair. That's it's I don't know where like stuff like that came from. That some stupid. It was probably brought up at some corporate meeting where they were trying to train the workers to be like more enthusiastic and put make sure you're wearing the flair because people notice those things and it's comments that people make and that they remember those things and they come back. It's like, no, that's not what they come back because the atmosphere, the food, the whatever was, something they enjoyed. We don't need your flair. But
But anyway, to bring this back to the movie, this was my choice. I think I've said everything I have to say, and I'm giving it 2 thumbs up because this is an American classic.
oh, definitely. I will absolutely agree with you, and I give it two strong thumbs up. Again, you said earlier, you said well, it's not like a great comedy, but it's a damn good comedy.
Oh
And
yeah,
I would say it's probably if not a must watch, just to say you've seen this movie. It's certainly don't miss it because for a good fun movie, it's got a lot of laughs in it. It's enjoyable.
especially if you hate your job.
Oh my God, if you hate your job, you must see it. Then it is a must see. So yeah, I definitely give it 2 solid thumbs up. Thanks for picking it because I enjoyed
Oh, my
re-seeing it
pleasure.
again. But no, um, and at this point too, I speaking of thumbs up, I put the word out that if you would possibly give us a like if you haven't subscribe. We definitely appreciate the likes and it helps us with the algorithm too. So please watch and
And
subscribe.
click on the link to my book.
Yeah,
It's only
yeah,
$1.50.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
made it cheap.
yeah. Well, yes, Dom has a book. It's on Amazon. He's gonna have a link to it. Hopefully, in all of the future videos, that there'll be a link to that. And so, yep, we're not we're other than Dom's book, right? At least right now, we're not selling anything but ourselves. We're just
So
saying,
I've got
hey,
merch on the way.
yeah, 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 and hey, down the road, we've definitely talked about having some, whether it's trivia prizes or whatever. We've definitely talked about doing stuff like that, but we need to grow first. So that's where we need your help. We need the thumbs up. We need those
Tell your
likes.
friends.
Yeah, yep.
Force your kids to watch.
I was gonna say, yeah, share the videos, because that all helps too. So please, we know we're amateur movie lovers, and we just talk about the movies that we love. And speaking of which, I am gonna throw out my next pick here. So anyone that's still watching, um, you're you have time to watch this before we do the next one, but I am throwing it out. I'm picking swimming pool.
Swimming pool.
Yes, swimming pool. And it's it's a pretty good. Charlotte Rampling is probably the main star. Ludovine Seigneur, however you pronounce her last name. She's a beautiful young girl in the movie, and it's about a writer who goes to France to write her book, her latest book, and it turns into a suspense mystery kind of a thing. It's a lot of fun. So I can tell, Dom, it doesn't sound like you've ever seen it.
I've
So
never seen it. I've never
so
even
that
heard of it.
well,
So,
that hopefully that'll be a good watch for you. You'll have to let me know what you think of it,
oh, I'll
and we'll
definitely be telling
discuss.
you in the next video.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure. We can argue that one. But yeah, so yeah, I think we're wrapping this one up. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed this one for Labor Day, and happy Labor Day to everybody. All you other working stiffs like myself out there, please enjoy the holiday.
Yeah,
Be
I hope
safe.
you actually get a long weekend because not
Yeah.
everyone does these
No,
days.
not everyone does, depending on the job you work. I'm working all weekend. So, so yeah, I'm one of those working stiffs that I'm going to be working nights all weekend. So I definitely can fully relate to anybody that's having to work. I've worked plenty of holidays, believe me. But Dom, I'm going to say adieu on this on
Indeed.
that
Hey,
on that
enjoy
note.
your weekend, even if you're working.
Yeah. So happy Labor Day to everybody, and we will see you guys next week.
See you next
So
week.
please tune in.